Hello, welcome to Nate Flicks. I'm Nate, you're you, and Hayden Panettiere is Kirby, a character that I have really been stumping for and saying that we need in Scream 5, so let's talk about why. So right away, let me just put out there, I think Wes Craven had designs on bringing Kirby back for Scream 5, and if you've seen any of my other videos talking about Scream 5, then you know I'm all about paying respect and carrying out the vision of Wes Craven. I think Wes Craven is one of the best minds that horror has had in the past 3 or 4 decades. He's given us so many landmark films and moments in the horror genre, and this Scream franchise, which we all love so much. And I think he gave us a good character with Kirby. I think Hayden Panettiere portrayed her fantastically, but if you look back at the Scream 4 DVD commentary, there's actually a moment where Wes Craven, seated next to Hayden Panettiere, they are dissecting Kirby's death scene. And he goes out of his way to point out that it's not necessarily a death scene, that you don't see her die. He points out that there's still movement, and he kind of looks at Hayden Panettiere, and she goes, still moving. And so I think that is something. It's also worth noting that he went out of his way in this commentary to point out that in the original script, Kirby survives. And not even that, they actually had a scene that was deleted in which I guess a paramedic comes over and gives you one of those, we have a heartbeat moments, and you wouldn't do that unless you're gonna really make something of it and bring that character back in the following film for a bigger, badder role. So I think they were really setting that up. And if you go, well, Nate, then why did they cut it? Well, I think the obvious answer here would just be, look at how long that third act already is in Scream 4. I'm not knocking it for that, but if you look at the traditional third act in filmmaking, it's not usually as long as it is in Scream 4 because there's a lot of like false endings and it keeps winding and there's a lot of twists. So they kind of needed to trim the fat, and you don't need that scene necessarily in order to have her come back because they already did the thing where she's still moving and you don't actually see her die. So I think they gave themselves just enough wiggle room to make this happen. Plus the character was really received well. I'm not the only person making these videos. You can find plenty of film forums where people are talking about this character and how they want her back. So, aside from just doing right by Wes Craven, let's talk about the actual character and why she is worthy. One, this character just feels very tied into the franchise. She was written to be a lot like Tatum from the first Scream, but once Hayden Panettiere actually showed up and got on set, that she has such a just presence about her that they kind of started writing her as more of this Sidney Prescott Final Girl-esque character. And they actually gave her a scene in which the way she tries to evade the Ghostface character, they purposely mimicked a scene from the first Scream where Sidney Prescott does the same thing. So they're setting up the parallel right there with Sidney. They may have been setting something up where in Scream 5, you know, she assumes the Sidney-esque role. So she already has the Tatum vibe, but she's got a little bit of Sidney Final Girl jib to her, and then she's also got that Randy horror geek know-how, and I think we always have to have one of these characters in Scream. I think they even realized that they goofed up in Scream 2. They ripped our hearts out. They killed our boy Randy. And then in Scream 3, they're like, what do? We need him. So they gave a little cameo. They do that thing where they find the videotape and he's there to explain the rules. That is a pillar of Scream. You need a character there who knows the genre and is onto the killers and knows their moves and, you know, can kind of get in their mind and help steer everyone else out of harm's way. And so that's Kirby. She does that in this film. How awesome is that in Scream 4 when the killer is posing the questions to her about remakes, and she doesn't just throw out some of the big ones that everybody knows. She just names off like everything that's ever been remade. She gets into the deep cuts. If you are a horror fan, you are a horror nerd, and if you've somehow found this channel, you likely are, you have to be impressed by that. That should really be a character you root for because that's us, guys. That is us on screen, and it's a cool character. It's not just some dweeby character that's there as a punchline or a setup for all the other characters. She's a cool, badass, sassy, smart, independent character, and you need that in a Final Girl. So I think she could very well be put into that role in Scream 5. Hayden Panettiere has been acting since she was a child. She has that know-how, she has a presence on screen. She could definitely do a more than serviceable job, and I would like to see that way more than getting a new Final Girl or a Randy-esque character from somebody they ripped off of one of the CW shows for a younger audience. You guys don't want that, right? I mean, come on, let's do Wes Craven right, and let's just do the role right. Because I don't know about you guys, but I really get into kind of analyzing what makes a good Final Girl. And I think this Kirby character has all the makings. Like I said, she's sassy, she's smart, she knows her horror films, she's just kind of tough, and you can tell that she's gonna be driven. So we've heard that this reboot, it's gonna involve a character coming back to Woodsboro that they've been personally affected by earlier crimes. So that sounds like it could very well be Kirby. Of course, there's also enough leeway there they could just make it Sydney again, or it could be both. I think it'll work either way. I think I've said this already, but you know, have Nev Campbell, Sydney Prescott pass the baton on to Kirby. They've both got skin in the game. Another reason Kirby should come back. You don't want just somebody who's new to all this. You don't want to just completely restart. You know, have it be a soft reboot. Have characters come in that we are familiar with who have skin in the game. That makes way more sense. She has motivation to bring these guys down, or girls, you know, it's Scream. Equal opportunity for Ghostface. But that's what I'm saying. Be sure to comment below if you think Kirby should be brought back, and give your explanation why. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys down there. If you haven't commented on one of my videos before, expect that I will actually comment back. I think that's what this channel is really predicated on. I don't understand the point in me getting on here and putting these videos out if we're not gonna have a little discussion. So be sure to comment. I will talk to you down there about Kirby, Scream, whatever you want to talk about. But on that, you have a fantastic day. I am Nate for Nightmare Flick saying that's a wrap.